few minutes for people to come on before I invite Michelle on. I'm going to be chatting with Michelle of Water Lily Weddings today. I've worked with Michelle a whole lot over the years, and her team are nothing but professional and just absolutely amazing. So I'm just going to give it a few minutes. Michelle should be joining soon, and I'll come on and we'll start chatting away all about wedding planners and what they can do for your wedding. And if any of you have questions while we're chatting away, please do just put them in the comments and we'll try and get through them. Hi, John. This is my first live, by the way. Hi, Michelle. All right. I think we have Michelle popping on now. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I can hear you. Oh, there you are.
Good. Can you hear me? I'm great. I'm trying this new headset. So if the sound is weird, just let me know. I'll unplug it, but it should help a little bit. But yeah, I'm great.
Good.
Really good. Looking out on another rainy day, but apart from that, we're all living the dream, right?
Absolutely, yeah. It's a little bit sunny here at the moment, which is great. It's been a bit rainy, but other than that, I can't complain.
Nice. Good weather makes a lot of difference.
Absolutely. So I'm not going to keep you too long. We are going to keep this kind of shortish, but
yeah.
I just want to kind of chat to you with a few questions, and generally I just want to give couples a feeling as to why they would bring a planner on board for their wedding day, what the benefits are, and we'll just go through that. So I guess first thing I'm supposed to start off with basically is what I just said was, why would a couple choose to bring a planner on board for their wedding day, and what benefits can you bring to a wedding?
Of course, yeah. Okay, so the majority of our clients actually use us from the moment they get engaged right through to the wedding day itself. So a lot of our clients come to us and they have a general idea of the style of venue they want to get married in, but other than that, they don't have any kind of thoughts, directions, information. So they're really starting from square. Help them contract the venue, and then right through every element. So that's if they're getting legally married, help them with this.
I don't know if it's from my end or your end, Michelle. If anybody else, can you?
Did it break up?
Yeah, I don't know if it's from my end or your end. If anybody else has trouble seeing, just
I could still see you. Okay. So yeah, I was just saying, so we take them from kind of like engaged to the wedding day. And really that's a journey of getting to know the couple as well as possible, we deal with a lot of international clients. So for us, it's not always possible to meet the couple in person. And so, it's about Skype calls or Zoom or whatever, and trying to get to know them as best as we can. And then once we've secured a venue, when we're looking at vendors, it's all about really matching the personality of the couple with the right vendor. And I think that's something that comes with time and experience. We've been doing this is our 15th year. So we know the vendors that we work with very well, and we know the right fit for the right couple. So I think that's something that we bring to the table for a couple, because a lot of the time when couples are starting out, they're just doing what all of us naturally do, which is like searching on Google, Wedding Planners Ireland, which is great. And they can see your portfolio. And of course, that's such an insight into your style. But I think to have somebody who's worked with those people before and really get an insight into how they work and what they're going to offer the couple, and, how they're going to work, not just on the day, but over the planning period, right? Because you want to be involved before the day itself. So it's that knowledge of the vendors, and then obviously understanding contracts, what's to be expected, what's the norm, what they can ask for. And then sometimes cultural norms, like a lot of people ask us, like, can we ask for a discount? Like, do you barter in Ireland? And things like that. Like, people are unsure of that. And then even simple things like on the day, like, who do I tip? Who, those kind of things, just like helping bring clarification, I think, to the different elements of the day as well is hugely important. And then I think from the feedback we got from our couples, the most valuable element of what we do, I think, is being there on the day. So like having somebody just to like literally hand everything over to and not have to worry about a single thing is the thing that they always come back to us afterwards when we kind of do the exit interview, a couple of weeks after the wedding. That's the thing that brought them the biggest peace of mind.
Yeah.
So like that's huge. And it's great because it's the part of the job we love most. Like, as with yourself, it's the thing that we're all missing terribly at the moment is like being out there, right? Being out there in the excitement, in the exhaustion. I mean, there's nothing like running around on a wedding day. Like, yourself, I think we average between 12 and 15 kilometers on a wedding day. Like you're literally running. Just running around, like just so great. So that I think is probably one of the key things. And we're actually seeing more and more couples contract us just for on the day than we really ever have before.
You do that then? Just
Yeah. So the on the day, it's called an on the day service, but actually starts 2 months out. So we take over with the briefing 8 weeks out, and then about 6 weeks out, we really take over for the couple, just handling all communication from all vendors and last like scheduling and all that kind of thing, so that they can just relax and enjoy the lead up to the wedding, because that's a great buzz as well. Like as people arrive into town and you're meeting up for drinks and you're doing the last bits and pieces, like just to be able to enjoy that and not have to be answering emails from 15 vendors trying to confirm last details. So that starts 6 weeks out and then being there on the day. So that's definitely something we do. And I think we've definitely seen in the last year and a half couples starting to have relationship with vendors even before they pick them. I think this is something you and I have spoken about before, in that like we've had people approach us and been like, we're just engaged, but I've been following you on Instagram for the last 12 months and I love your stuff. And Instagram has allowed them to have a relationship with the vendors in a much more intimate way than we have ever before. So as a result of that, more people come to us and it's like, oh, I have all my vendors picked. I was basically following everybody before, I even knew exactly what I wanted. So as a result of that, a lot more people just need help in that final lead up and on the day.
And from your point of view, Michelle, like, is there any benefits for having you on board from the very beginning versus just coming in for that kind of 2 months before?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the couple, but yes, in the sense that like sometimes I don't think couples know exactly the right questions to ask when they get involved, right? Which is totally understandable. Hopefully they're only doing this once in their lifetime. We're doing it like, maybe 50 times a year or whatever. But just, things on contracts like, oh, I thought they were going to stay until midnight. Mm-hmm. And now they're saying they're going to leave at dinner time, for different elements. Or with hair and makeup, like, oh, I thought they would stay until I was like just about to walk down the aisle. Yeah. Like just little things like that, which kind of get overlooked at the time of booking. And then when it comes down to the wedding, it can cause a lot of stress because it's like, unrealistic expectations just simply because they didn't know what to ask. So that's definitely helpful from our side to be involved from the beginning. And also in things like the styling element, definitely being involved as much as possible when that's starting, it is great. Just again, to help a couple understand not just what the individual elements are going to look like, but the overall vision for the day and how the different people fit into that. Like that's definitely beneficial. But we also find that when we do get contracted for just on the day, because we know we've been around so long, we generally know most of the vendors anyway, so we can always give them a quick buzz and be like, hey, listen, the bride thinks this, but I know you're generally going to do that. So we can normally catch things at that 8 week out time as well, which is great. So we can contact people and be like, this is what I understand you're contracted for, and then the vendor's like, no, this is actually what it is, and we try and like bridge the gap. So it's fine if they don't have this from the beginning, but I think having this from the beginning is a lot of smoother process. And as well as that, we also know what vendors work well together. Like obviously we all work with each other in the industry, but sometimes there's good teams that just click together as well.
Absolutely. Now I know you're based up in the States, and some of your teams here. So is there anything differently, like say if a couple is coming from abroad versus a couple who are already based here? Is there any differences in the planning that you would do around that for like a destination versus a home wedding?
So I think the major difference is understanding the cultural difference.
Yes.
Like our wedding day in Ireland is quite different to a wedding day in the United States. Yeah. Very long, which people are always like, what? We're going to start at 2 and finish at 2? What the heck? But even simple things like, I was just talking to a bride about this morning. They, in the States, they're used to having music throughout dinner, right? You come in, you might do your first dance, sit down, have a starter, get up and down. Like, that's just not happening in Ireland. So, communicating those cultural differences and understanding, like, the band aren't going to start till 9:30. There's going to be 45 minutes setup. And they're like, oh, no, for an American, that's not an option, right? And there's ways around that. And again, that's something that comes back to contracts, like knowing to pay the band to come in early in the day and set up, so you haven't got that long setup time. So I think the major difference is the understanding cultural difference, and then obviously just trying to give them as much information, because they're not going to be able to go over and meet people. Like probably 60% of our clients don't get over to Ireland until the week of the wedding.
Yeah.
So you're really trying to give them as much information as possible. Whereas with our Irish clients, they have a trial, they can go do their tasting, they can do the venue walkthrough. So it's a little bit different in that sense. But otherwise, it's more or less the same.
Perfect. I do have a question here that came in from a bride. Lovely Elaine was asking about, when you're working on a budget, is there anything to spend money on that gives you more value, as in for flowers, ones that can be used in the church but also in the venue too? Basically, what's easy to move, like say for flowers, as in the aisle piece can be moved to the table. Is there anything you can do that doubles up or that just gives you more value for money?
Right, good question. So I always tell couples when they're looking at their budget to prioritize what's important to them, right? So, for some people it is the flowers. For other people, it's the music, and they want to spend like a minimal amount on the florals, but they really want to invest in music, or their photography is really important. So everybody's budget and how they want to spend it is very individual. But when it comes to flowers and decor, I think, obviously in the last 12 months, and you continue to see it for like the next year of planning, those beautiful arches at the church are just like at the entrance of the church, like so stunning. Like, I don't know whether, like, Megan definitely wasn't the first to do it, and I don't know whether Kate and William had it, but I feel like there was a boom in arches at churches, and now it's kind of become the norm.
Yeah, it's become a trend, yeah.
Right, and they're absolutely stunning, but people don't realize that they take hours to construct and hours to deconstruct. So while they are amazing, you have to allocate that amazing budget just to the church, because those things can't be moved. So like inside the church, obviously pedestals can be moved, altar arrangements can be moved, pew ends can be moved, but you've also got to be realistic in the time needed to take them from the church and get them to the venue. Like, you don't want all your guests standing outside, like, I don't know, like Luttrell Town Castle. You're all standing outside having a drink, and in come the florists with buckets and wires, and like, that's just not going to work. It doesn't look right. So you have to be realistic, and I think that's a really good conversation to have with your florist at the beginning. And they are phenomenal at doing that, about saying, look, if this is the budget and we want to repurpose as much as possible, like, these are the way that we can use flowers in the church, etc. I will say things like candles create a huge bang for your buck, like using that. And with things like that, like, you don't always have to hire them, because sometimes you can achieve a similar look by hopping over to IKEA or, over the course of time, you're keeping an eye out on stuff in Dunnes and things like that, and just picking up candles and then like gifting them to people afterwards, that tell them to take them home or whatever.
We did that with our centerpieces. We just said, whoever wants centerpiece, just take it home.
To take it, yeah, absolutely, brilliant. So again, that's a good conversation to have with your florist on like what they can do, and then how you can kind of supplement that.
Right.
And I think if you're in any way good at DIY, and you have the time. And maybe that's a conversation I'm having with a lot of our clients, like what can they do in this postponement time that they wouldn't have previously done? So personalizing stuff that takes time that you didn't have before that now you have. Like maybe that's something you can do, like, you know, the big, beautiful mirror seating charts, or, you know, the handwritten place cards, like all of those things that are quite expensive to hire somebody to do that you can now do yourself.
We all have time for now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's what I'm encouraging. Like we've had a number of couples over the years write really beautiful personal letters to each guest, and you're thinking, where did they ever have the time? But on the day, seeing the guests receive them, amazing, like just so beautiful. So I think to do stuff like that now when we have the time is brilliant. And you know, that could be a feature on your place setting, you know, so another way of kind of saving on budget.
Yeah, that's perfect. I had one more question which regards to budgets while I have you talking about budget. And that's kind of more like, as a planner, when a couple comes to you and say they just have a budget, but they don't know where to allocate it, do you have like a way of guiding them into how much they should allocate into each specific part of the wedding?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, there is, if you go online, there's lots of like budget estimators and things like that. But we would always supply our clients with kind of like the average. So if you take, for example, a cake, right? So you can spend $400 on a cake, you can spend $1,200 on a cake. Most people nowadays spend about $400 or $500 on their cake, depending on the style they're going for. So we would take a little bit of information from the couple and then try and give them the average for what they're trying to achieve. And again, because each part is independent, you know, like we have a certain percentage of couples who are like, I don't like cake. I never liked cake. And I'm like, don't have a cake.
No, absolutely.
Nobody's really going to remember, you know, that you didn't have a cake. It's not like you're going to look back on your day and be like, the only thing that was missing is our cake. Like, take that money from your cake and allocate it to flowers or allocate it to music or whatever. So we kind of help them through the budget they have and get down to really what's important to them. And I think the other thing is just not to feel overwhelmed by feeling like you have to have stuff. Like, while Pinterest is amazing and we all love it and it's a great resource for the wedding industry, it can be overwhelming and feeling like you have to have all of this stuff, you know, which you really don't. So I think when you're talking about budget, really asking yourself a question like, what is important to us? Is really important. And then, we try and help them when they have a restricted budget or whatever, like what can they do to enhance that budget? And what can, you know, how can they work with the supplier or the vendor to kind of maximize what they're going to be able to do. So these are just good conversations, you know, and I mean, you know, people in the industry, we all want people to have the best possible day that they can have. And we have knowledge and experience of what we can do to make that happen, because not every wedding is the same. And we certainly don't approach weddings with like a cookie cutter mentality. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're always like, okay, well, we can't do that, let's do this. Or what if I come 2 hours later, but we do this instead? You know, like you can always work around budget, I think.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that covers everything I wanted to chat to you about, Michelle. Does anybody else on here have any questions while we're live with Michelle? If not, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off?
No, I think just like, don't be afraid to ask questions. And I think when you're starting out on the planning process, like, I'm a big person for just like always asking, and it's okay if the question is no. Like, I don't think anybody in the industry gets insulted by people asking a question, you know what I mean? And we definitely are all here to help, and we know that a couple are doing this probably for the first time. So just reach out. We all have resources. If we don't have the answer, or if I'm not the right fit for a couple for budget reasons, or I don't have the date availability, I'm going to recommend other people in the industry who I've worked with before and we know and love. So, you know, it's a really good network. So even if we can't give a couple what they need, we always will know somebody who can. So yeah, just don't be afraid to reach out.
Perfect. I don't think there's anything else.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Cool. I see some notes come up. All right.
has questions, obviously come on, pop them on later on, and we'll try and answer them even after this video. But that's perfect. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a million, Christina. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. So that's it for me. I'm going to sign off now. Thanks everybody who joined. And I'm sure I'll be back on here again soon for another live chat. I've got a few other people lined up in the wedding industry that I'll chat to, but I'll announce those later on. So thanks very much. Bye everyone.